Welcome to another episode of School on Air. Last time we talked about government and the meaning of government and functions of government. Today we shall be looking at structures of government and their functions. Structures of government simply refers to the three basic organs, arms, or institutions of government through which the activities of government are carried out in the country. As I was telling you in the last class, functions of government. They carry out their function through the various units or organs or institutions. For example, we have the executive who formulate policy and implement it. And so the three organs of government, namely the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, carry out the business of governance. We are going to look at legislature today. We are going to look at the various types, and we are going to look at the function of the legislature. You can see the table on the screen. Government and the three arms, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. These are the three arms of government that carry out the business of government. The legislature, which is also known as the legislative organ of government, is primarily concerned with making laws, even though there are other functions given to it or assigned to it by the Constitution. But the primary objective, the primary duty of the legislature is to make relevant laws for smooth governance. And let's look at legislation in a federation such as Nigeria. The legislature is in different forms in all the three tiers of government. We all know the three tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local government. Legislature is not the same in the three tiers of government. And so we are going to start with the federal level. At the federal level, we have what is called the bicameral legislature. That is bicameralism. What is bicameralism or bicameral legislature? Even though this is not government class, but I will explain a little bit. Bi, as the word goes, means two. Bi means two. And so bicameralism means two houses of assemblies. At the federal level, we have two houses of assembly. For example, we have the Senate, also known as the upper house, and we have the House of Representatives, known as the lower house. They are called different names in other countries. For example, in Britain, the upper house is called the House of Lords, while the lower house is called the House of Commons. But we are going to look at Nigeria as a case study. The upper house, that is the Senate, and the lower house, which is also known as the House of Representatives. The Senate has 109 members, that is 3 senators from each state of the federation. That means 3 senators times 36 states of the federation, making 108. Then plus 1 senator representing the FCT, making 109. The Senate is headed by a president and assisted by other principal officers of the House, such as majority leaders, the chief whip, deputy Senate president, minority leaders, and so on and so forth. We also have Senate spokesperson. Also, we want to look at the House of Rep. The House of Representatives has 360 members, representing the 36 states of the federation. The number of lawmakers representing each state depends on the population of that state. And so the House of Representatives has a speaker as the head of the House, and is also assisted by other principal officers of the House, such as the deputy speakers, the chief whip, the minority leaders, majority leaders, the spokesperson, and so on and so forth. Under this arrangement, all laws made by the National Assembly are called the Acts of Parliament, and it is binding on all citizens. They make law for the good governance of the whole federation. Whatever they do, their actions, the laws they make, covers the whole federation. Now let's come to the state level. At the state level, we have what is called unicameralism. As the word goes, uni, one. That is one house of assembly in each state of the federation. Each state has its own legislature. And like I told you earlier on, it is called the House of Assembly. And so we have Oyo State House of Assembly, for example, Edo State House of Assembly, Kaduna State House of Assembly, Zamfara State House of Assembly, Kogi State House of Assembly, Delta State House of Assembly, Ebonyi State House of Assembly, Enugu State House of Assembly, and so on and so forth. They make laws, relevant laws, for this their own state. And so every law made by each state House of Assembly is binding on people living within the state. In other words, any law made by those state House of Assembly is not binding on the people of Delta State. Laws made by lawmakers in Delta State House of Assembly is not binding on the people of Oyo State. Also, the state legislature is headed by a speaker, assisted by deputy speaker. We also have offices like the minority leader, the majority leader, the chief whip, and so on and so forth. At the local government level, by 1976, the local government reforms created a legislative organ for the third tier of government. In other words, before 1976, there was no legislative organ for the third tier of government in Nigeria. And so the legislative organ in each local government comprises all elected councillors, headed by the majority leader in the House. The laws made by the local government councillors are not called Act of Parliament, but it is called bylaws. They make bylaws for people living within their local jurisdiction. In other words, laws made by the councillors in Etiop local government in Edo State is not binding on the people of Etiosa local government in Lagos State. All right, before we talk about the functions of the legislative organ of government, let me quickly show you the division of powers in the legislature. For example, at the federal level, the federal legislatures are expected, according to the Constitution, to legislate on matters in the executive exclusive legislative list. They are also partly to legislate on items under the concurrent legislative list. Let me start from the exclusive legislative list. Items under this includes aviation, includes maritime, the rail system, monetary policy, defense of the country, the armed forces, police force, and so on. They all fall under the exclusive legislative list, on which only the federal legislators, that is the National Assembly, can legislate. They can also legislate on matters under concurrent list to some extent. Issues like agriculture, issues like finance, issues like banking, like education, and so on. These fall under the concurrent legislative list. It is only the state legislature that can make laws on items under the residual list, such as chieftaincy matters, such as markets and parks, such as cyclists and so on. These laws are made by the state legislature alone. Having known this, can we now look at the functions of the legislative organ of government? Function of the legislative organ of government. Number one, they scrutinize and approve annual budget. In other words, the executive will prepare annual budget and present it to the House, to the National Assembly. The National Assembly will study it. All the various committees, the relevant committees in charge of finance will study it, will invite relevant authorities, question them, and after due consultation, may approve or disapprove the budget. Number two, the legislature amend existing laws whenever the need arises, even though there are some procedures to be followed, because Nigeria is operating a written constitution. And so it is the duty of the legislature to amend existing laws, apart from making laws. Number three, the legislature checks on executive excesses through the exercise of impeachment power. The legislature serves as checks on the excesses of the two other organs of government. And whenever the need arises, the president or the governor may be impeached by the legislature. Number four, the legislature acts as representatives of the interest of their constituencies. Each and every one of them were elected from their constituency to represent them. And so on the floor of the assembly, they represent the interest of their constituencies. For example, if the senator from my constituency, if assuming we are badly in need of a bridge over a particular river in my community, it is the duty of the senator representing my area to present our need on the floor of the assembly, and appropriate actions will be taken on it. Number five, they scrutinize and approve ministerial nominees. At the federal level, it is the duty of the legislature to approve or disapprove, in any case, ministerial nominee. The executive, represented by the president, will present to the legislators list of nominees for ministerial position, while the legislature on the floor will look at it, will study it, and invite the people concerned, question them, and if they are qualified, will approve their nomination. At the state level, the governor will present to the state legislature list of commissioner nominees. Appropriate steps will be taken, part of which include inviting the people concerned, questioning them on some things, and then approving or disapproving their nomination. They also perform oversight functions as may be assigned to them by the Constitution. That is, apart from scrutinizing and approving nominees, apart from approving executive decisions, apart from approving or disapproving annual budget, they also perform other functions as stated in the Constitution of the country. We have talked about functions of government, that is making relevant. We have talked about functions of the legislature, that is making relevant laws, scrutinizing and approving executive decisions, representing members of their constituency on the floor of the assembly, and so on and so forth. We talk about organs of government, their duties, more especially the legislature. We talk about legislature at the federal level, that is bicameral legislature, whereby we have two houses of assembly. The Senate, also known as the upper house, and the House of Representatives, also known as the lower house. The Senate comprises 109 members, 3 senators from each state, making 108, with a senator representing the FCT, making 109. We also talk about the House of Representatives, comprising 360 members. The House of Rep is also known as the lower house. We talk about principal officers of the house, namely the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker. We talk about the Majority Leader, the Minority Leader, the Chief Whip, and so on. Now, before I give you the assessment for today, I want to ask 3 or 4 questions. Do you know the senator representing your area? If you know him or her, what is the name? At the state level, who is the representative of your area? Has he or she been representing you very well? When last did he visit your area? What did he tell you? These are questions that are very important. In other words, if you don't know the senator representing your area, if you don't know the commissioner representing your area, you are guilty of political apathy. Now to my question. Discuss the role of the legislative organ of government in a democracy. What are the roles of the legislative organ of government in a democracy? I am expecting your answer. Until then, it's bye for now.